It evolved out of the rationing system that we had. One of the things that, the instrument through which the PDS is enforced is called the ration card.
Yeah.
Where does this ration come from? Why don't we call it the food security card or PDS card? Because we had ration cards during the rationing, yes. But food. PDS, as we all know, is an instrument to provide food security to people, because food is important. In our constitution, the right to live is enshrined under Article 21. And it has been further elaborated by the Supreme Court by saying that right to live amounts to right to live with dignity. There can be no dignity if a man has not enough to eat. So, we evolved the public distribution system very early with the twin goal of providing price stability and to create a demand for food grains by subsidizing the price so that it has a multiplier effect. And we have been doing it for all these years. According to a study made by the National Sample Survey, that in 2006-07, under the PDS, we distributed about 3 million tons of food grains. It was done through a network of more than 4 lakh fair price shops. And at that time, there were about 16 crore ration cards. So 16 crore families were covered and 3 million tons of food grain was distributed. Now, if we take a notional food input of 84 kgs per unit per annum, 84 kgs per unit per annum, this 3 million tons is sufficient to feed 27 crore. Now, this 27 crore is more than the BPL population. So, by implication, this distribution of 3 million tons should have taken care of food security for the poorest of the poor. The catch is that in all this, the presumption is that the food reaches the beneficiaries. That's the big question. From a food importing country, we have come to a stage when we are not only self-sufficient, but we have great reserves of food grains. The test is whether we are able to feed the people. Now, the public distribution system has suffered. It has suffered because of inefficient management, defective targeting, and corrupt practices. Defective targeting has been because of 2 types of errors: the errors of exclusion of the eligible and the errors of inclusion of the non-eligible. How have we looked at it? There are various reports. In 1999, there was a study by the Tata Economic Consultancy Services. And it came to the conclusion that the extent of diversion was 36% in wheat, 31% in rice, and 23% in sugar. There were variations between the states. While there was comparatively less diversion in the western and southern states, there was much more in the eastern, northeastern, and the northern states. A mention was made of Bihar, where there was 64%, according to that study, 64% diversion of rice. And in Nagaland, 100% diversion of wheat. 100% diversion of wheat. And even in Punjab, the state from where Dr. Gupta comes, the diversion was almost 70% in wheat. That was the state in 1999. In 2005, the Planning Commission again did a study. And they came to the conclusion that there was aggregate, national level, there was a diversion of about 58% of
76% in Punjab.
Again the same. And the reasons for this diversion were given by the Planning Commission as defective targeting, wrong identification of beneficiaries, non-transparent operation of the scheme. Non-transparent operation of the scheme and, of course, corrupt practices. So, report after report has said that there's something wrong with the management of our PDS scheme. However, we were talking, Dr. Gupta and I, and he brought out, as a matter of fact, the recent report, the more recent report, which has been given by Jean Grace, a social economist. In this study, there were more than 100 villages in 9 states which were covered, trying to find out what is the extent of diversion. This is very recent. And surprisingly, the conclusions are that the leakages in PDS are being plugged and the diversion is reducing. In 8 of 9 states studied, the supply of food grains to the beneficiaries was more than 90%, with the sole exception of Bihar, where the supply was still 45%. So we have these performing states and we have some still sluggish states. Now all these reports bring out a single point, and that is there is wide variation among the states. And that puts a lot of responsibility on the state governments. We are very happy that 2 of the performing states are with us today, Gujarat and Chhattisgarh. They have taken the lead. And as we learn from the speakers, how they have done it, and how this examples can be emulated by other states. But I hope that in the very near future, we will have almost a total coverage of BPL families, and they will get their due ration under the PDS system very soon. But the story doesn't end here, and I am sure that my friends here, they have addressed the issues. Beneficiary identification is one thing, which is being addressed. The organization and the Nilikani has also come out with a working paper. You must have seen it. It's called Envisioning the Role of Aadhaar in PDS. They say that Aadhaar can help in Aadhaar-based identification, Aadhaar-based authentication, and Aadhaar-based management information system. They also say that Aadhaar can help us in a very big way in portability of beneficiaries. That is, the beneficiary belonging to one state can draw his ration from some fair price shop in some other state. A big advantage. And finally, it also says that this will help us in creating food accounts of every individual in the country. I think that is something at which we must look. So finally, before ending, I would just like to flag one more point, and that is that in a futuristic sort of PDS, can we look at three things? One, of course, an Aadhaar-based automated system with minimum intervention, human intervention. Two, a menu of nutritional foodstuffs, rather than only rice and wheat and sugar and kerosene oil. Let's have a menu. It may take some time, but I think it is highly desirable. And also, the involvement of every stakeholder. Because regrettably, even now, the common man, the beneficiary, the citizen, is missing at the table. Thank you very much.
I request Dr. Gupta to take over.